Update my 35M mother's 58F new fiancé 24M wants me to call him Dad. How do I navigate this? Original post and slightly amended the title for clarity. Anyway, so I told both my siblings and we agreed we'd collectively put our foot down with Phil at our next family dinner next week. Especially after an incident where Phil referred to my brother as sport and asked if he wanted to go see a baseball game with him. Admittedly, I was a bit spurred on by what you all said and got involved, pinging him back with, no tickets for me daddy, and my brother responded with, daddy wants to meet all to himself Hot, and Phil took a few minutes to respond before saying he was shocked, speechless and disgusted. He then messaged me in private to say he was utterly appalled and that he'd never disrespect his own father the way you boys did. I kind of lost it at this point and said, right, that's because you're not my father Phil, you're a 24-year-old man-child dating my mother. You have no right to my respect, especially not to the respect a father gets. I immediately said sorry but then blocked his number and left the group chat. Apparently he sent a similar thing to my brother who responded with more daddy stuff and Phil blocked him. Well, that aside, I don't think that family dinner is going ahead. After the original post blew up, it seems someone from his Lions Club found it and reported it to their chair or whatever, and Phil has either been expelled or resigned or in the process of one of the two. He has removed nearly all mentions of the Lions from his social media and no longer mentions being a member, with his last post on it being some cryptic goodbye post where he kinda drones on about what it means to be a man in the modern day and the duty of fatherhood bestowed on all men at birth. Really weird shit. My mom called me half in a panic, half in a rage after, about the stuff I'd been telling about him before breaking down and saying we need to meet, which we did and got my brother to go over too. I know he has temporarily moved back in with his parents in the next town over, but from my understanding they still want to go ahead with the wedding. But I think that's more so because they've already spent money on it. When she said she was determined to have more kids, plural, my brother did step up and asked if she really thought that was a good idea at her age, and I pointed out that assuming she had the baby next year, and she lived to 80, they still wouldn't have finished college. She just stammered on about how people live longer these days, before breaking down crying and admitting she's not ready to give up on mothering due to some deep-seated trauma and fears about the family breaking apart that I won't go into for her sake. When we reassured her that we weren't going anywhere, she calmed down and we had a very good honest conversation where she's agreed to drop the IVF stuff on the grounds that it'd be too expensive and unlikely to get greenlit. But she's still adamant it's scientifically possible and she should be allowed to do it from an ethical standpoint because she has to win that argument, uneasy face, and has agreed to look into fostering instead. Me and my brother highly doubt anything will ever come of that, so we're not that worried anymore. The very good news is she's also agreed to look into therapy/psychiatric help to deal with her trauma, and we've helped get her in touch with a nice lady in town to unpack all this in a more healthy way. So at least one person is getting the help they need. I have no idea what's happened with Phil or what's going to happen with him, but I did make it clear to my mom that he is not my dad, he's not even my stepdad, I'm not a kid. And he's never going to be either one outside of legal fuckery. She relented pretty quickly. I think she's finally broken out of her shell at least, and we've agreed that if things go ahead that's going to be a huge red line, though I dunno if he'll want to be friends with me after all this LMAO. Anyway, thanks for the help on the original post y'all. Update me, 40F, and my husband, 41M, together 6 years. He snooped on my phone and found something I did 16 years ago. Why is he mad? Original. Backstory. For months my husband has been suspicious for months that I'm cheating, even though I've never even messaged another man since before our first date. He snooped on my phone and found a message from 16 years ago, so 10 years before we got together, where I was short of money, so sent a mechanic some nudes in lieu of payment for supplying and fitting an alternator. He called me all sort of names and I got mad back and said I'll never trust him and I think he's projecting. On to the update, and like many of you suggested, he was projecting and he's the one who's cheating. I left for my sister's for a few days when I wrote that post. Driving past a premiere inn near her house and saw his car outside, waited by it for 3 hours where he eventually emerged with another woman. He said it was the first time and he thought we'd split up. She said to him, "What are you talking about and who is this?" Referring to me. He literally ran off like a coward. I spoke to this woman who turned out to be lovely and she said they'd been seeing each other for over a year, but he told her he was living with his religious parents after leaving his wife, so that's why they can never go back to his and got hotels. She was such a lovely young woman and I ended up having to console her and took her home myself. As for us, I'm back at home and he is now back at his parents, who were very disappointed in him when they heard the news and have been lovely to me. I've started divorce proceedings, but that'll be about a year away, I'd imagine. I, F20, found nudes on my boyfriend's, M23, phone. What now? Last night, I, F20, went through my boyfriend's, M23, phone while he was sleeping because my intuition was telling me that something was up. I went through almost everything and it came up clean, but then I found this folder labeled, in his Google Drive. I clicked it and a bunch of other folders came up. Each folder had a girl's full name on there and contained their nudes. Worst of all, there was a folder labeled with my name. I went through them all and even found some pictures of him and a girl in his car after they did the deed. This isn't the first time he's done stuff behind my back. He was talking to some other girl in Florida while we were exclusively talking. He was even going to go over there to meet up with her until I found out about everything. He kept saying that I shouldn't have looked through his phone, he just wanted to make some out-of-state friends, and that they were nothing else but friends. Ever since then, I've been on the edge with this guy, but after finding those folders, I don't know what to think anymore. I'm hurt, confused, and lost. I don't even know what to do. Please help. Is it okay if my boyfriend, 33M, doesn't want to cook? I'm 30F, his mother told him he doesn't have to cook if he doesn't like doing it. I, 30F, have been dating this guy, 33M, for 1 year now. He moved into my house right away. I cooked for him practically daily for the entire year, despite having a very busy job. He is also very messy, so I cleaned after him all the time. He never offered to help with cooking. His reason: I don't have talent for cooking like you do, cleaning, or any chores around the house. He did help do some minor things like putting dishes in dishwasher or taking them out, but only after I asked him repeatedly, never voluntarily. I'm sometimes baffled at how much common sense he is lacking in general. For example, the one time he did try to cook, he didn't even put in oil. He claimed he doesn't know cooking oil's existence, resulting in complete ruin of the pot. In fact, he doesn't even know how to use tie twister to seal the bread back. It's not like his family is super rich or anything for him to get away with this much ignorance. Even Kardashians know how to cook. I tried to teach him how to do simple cooking many times, but he doesn't really want to learn. We live in a rather small city, so if I don't cook, it's going to be fast food or greasy fake Asian food that day. And he's picky eater too. I'm okay with eating leftover from multiple days in a row, but he wants fresh and different food every day, so I have to cook daily. I complained to him, begging him to cook just some simple things like pasta, air fry salmon, or salad once in a while to help out, but he said he talked to his mother about it, and she said if he doesn't like cooking, then he doesn't have to do it. There are two people in a relationship, one has to cook more than the other. What does she mean by that statement? Do they expect me to cook and do chores all the time because I'm a woman? I work 12 hours per day. Is it so horrible to ask my BF to chip in some help to share the housework? I'm just so stressed out to think how nightmarish my life will be once we have kids. Husband, M25, posts videos ejaculating on my F25 face. What to do? My husband, M24, makes videos of himself ejaculating on me, F25, while I'm asleep. What does he even ejaculate to? He's made videos like this of me before. Even when he's mad at me, he does this. It isn't an often thing, maybe 5 or 6 videos total throughout the years. I just feel super uncomfortable, I think. Sometimes I don't even know until I find it on his phone. I'm dead in sleep. Also, I've expressed my views on porn and he has continued to watch it behind my back. He has said it's an addiction. If so, how does one go about getting help with this? Porn may not be a big deal to some, but I have expressed my feelings toward this and him watching, so my opinion on that does not change.